Well, hi, everybody. I'm Lee Bodette, your host of the Test Drive Podcast. We're doing our Test Drive Podcast number 23 today. And with me is Scott Nickerson from Sport Car USA. And our guest today is Wendall Noble from the Vermont Automobile Enthusiasts car meet. He's currently the secretary, but we're going to get into all the positions that he has held throughout the years. And when it comes to automobiles, he's one heck of an expert, that's for sure. So it should be a lot of fun today. I've been broadcasting for over 40 years, and car enthusiast, of course, my entire life, frontman, host for Sport Car USA. So with that said, Wendall, welcome to our podcast.
Well, thank you, Lee. I'm delighted we got the opportunity to tell me before. This is our opportunity to come in here and self-promote a little bit, but I hope this is beneficial to you guys as it is to us. We really grateful to have this opportunity.
So the Vermont Automobile Enthusiasts, is that the largest car club in New England, I'm guessing?
I think it is.
Yeah,
we have members from not only Vermont, but the guy you're going to be talking to later on, he was in New York. We've got members in Maine, a lot in Massachusetts. We've even got them outside the United States. There's a lot of Canadian members. We've even enlisted a couple guys in China a few years ago.
Wow.
We're having a little difficulty keeping in touch with them right now, but there are auto enthusiasts over there.
Yeah. And Wendall, what are some of the positions you've held with the Vermont Automobile Enthusiasts?
Well, shortly after becoming active, I was asked if I'd be willing to be the second vice president. And I said, well, what's the second vice president do? They said, oh, nothing. Oh, okay, I'll take that. I can do that.
Yeah, sure.
And then after I agreed to do it, and they had an election, they said, oh, by the way, ultimately the second vice president becomes the vice president, and then the president, and then the chairman of the board. So I really was agreeing to more than I thought I was, but I've been through all of those.
The big event for the Vermont Automobile Enthusiasts is a yearly event, and it used to be held in Stowe, Vermont, and now it's in Waterbury, Vermont. I believe the Nichols Field in Stowe was sold. What was the story there?
Yeah, that's a very interesting story, particularly right now, this year, under these conditions, where we've been just seeing some of the worst flooding in Vermont in my memory, and it's raining today. When we used to be at Nichols Field, there's a lot of good things about that field. It was in Stowe, nice cachet goes with the Stowe name. It became known as the Stowe Show. The accommodations in Stowe are wonderful. You got plenty of motels and restaurants and everything like that. The downside was the field was very susceptible to rainy conditions, muddy. One year I know we lost money because I understood they spent like $30,000 just having gravel brought in, which had to be then taken out again when it was all done.
Wow.
And
crazy.
Pulling people, bringing bulldozers to pull guys out of the mud so they could go home.
I think I was there that year.
Yeah, well, you would remember it. But anyway, what we decided, okay, that's our home, and you called it Nichols Field, which is correct. It belonged to the Nichols family. But Mrs. Nichols, when she died, she had been in a nursing home for a goodly amount of time, and they had to borrow money using the field as collateral. So when she died, of course, it was time, okay, bills got to be paid. The only way to pay the bills is to sell the field. And one other, by sell the field, I mean sell the physical property. The development rights had been sold a number of years prior to that. So when we looked at it, the conservation easement that resulted, the development rights were sold to a land trust. And then the conservation easement that went with that, they said the field can only be used for, I think they could take 2 crops of hay per year. There could only be one event, such as the car show in August. And there's some other provisions about maintaining nature trails and stuff like that. So anyway, it was a piece of property whose value seemed only to be to us, and the easement pretty much spelled it out. So we thought, okay, we'll just make an agreement with the family, buy the field. One of the other shortcomings of the field was it really wasn't big enough. We were also leasing or renting 5 acres from another piece of Nichols property, and a few acres on the other end, and we were really
Parking and such.
short of parking and stuff like that. So we were convinced we'd make do somehow. But anyway, we did scurry around and thought we had an agreement to buy the field. I won't mention the amount, but we were convinced we could pass the hat and raise that amount.
Sure.
Gosh, we were heading for the lawyer's office with checks in hand, and literally, I think we were just coming across the town line into Stowe. The phone rang, the deal's off.
Oh my
There was
goodness.
some family disagreement. So we thought, well, all right, it's going to go to auction then. We'll go to the auction.
Oh, okay.
Certainly nobody else wants it. Who knows what we'll pay?
Yeah.
Well, surprise, surprise, we got there and there was somebody else who wanted to bid on it. We got up well beyond where we wanted to pay, and this other fellow bought it. There it sits. I think we did get one more year out of it from leasing it from this new owner, but we were out looking for a new place. And,
So what were they going to do with the field once they bought it? This guy.
you know,
You can't do much, right?
yeah, absolutely. I'm still wondering that.
And it's been just sitting there for how many
It's been
years?
Sitting there for that was what 2017, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
This show that you are the head of, if you will, the Vermont Antique and Classic Car Meet, has been around for 66 years.
Mm-hmm. Certainly predates me.
That's a long time.
Yes, it has. I think they started out having it at one of the ski areas originally in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's grown in size. I think it is. I know of no other car show in New England of this anywhere near that size. As I said, we have members who come from all over the country, in fact, outside the country, and certainly people who come to the show bring their cars are from all over, and it's the event.
The cars have to be at least, 20 or 25 years old?
We are kind of finding our way on that. We have got new, we have judging classes, and we've got classes now that are opening up to, don't have the stuff in front of me, but where you can allow more modern cars or customized cars and see if there's big participation, good. If not, we'll try something else. So we're not trying to be restricted to really old cars.
Right.
However, we do want to have antique cars there because I think that's what the attraction is.
Right. People come from all around, all over the country, really, to check out this show. How many cars are we talking about, and how many spectators?
Spectator numbers, I don't have any handle on at all. Car numbers are anywhere from 200 to 300.
Right.
And of course, cars are only maybe half of what's going on. The other half is the flea market.
Oh, yeah.
And there we've got, I think, available 500 flea market spaces. Most of them get taken. The last time I was at a meeting, I think like 2/3 of them have already been taken. And frankly, that is probably as big a source of revenue to the club as any of the rest of the show.
People that have classic cars and antique cars, they're looking for parts.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there.
Yes, they're all there. Yeah. And there's a separate group of people that have those things, and they go from show to show. They'll have their whole summer schedule mapped out. We'll go to Waterbury in Vermont, and then we'll go to this one, and then we'll go to that one.
Right.
And they'll ultimately end up probably a lot of them down in Hershey, Pennsylvania. But that's the biggie down there.
Yeah. Well, after 50 years plus in Stowe, people still refer to the Vermont Antique and Classic Car Meet as the Stowe Show.
That's right.
That's probably never going to go away, right?
No, it isn't. It isn't. Now, we wish that the name Waterbury would take on the same gravitas.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, Waterbury wasn't the place we immediately ran to when we decided we needed us. But we looked at the airport up in Morrisville. They would have accommodated us, but it would have been awkward. We looked at a ski area down in Warren. They would have loved to have had us, but there just wasn't room. And fortunately for us, Waterbury was recovering from Hurricane Irene, and they had an organization called revitalize Waterbury, and they were very, very receptive to having us come down there. They laid out the red carpet for us. We discovered Far Field, and boy, that has more room than we ever had at Stowe. I talked to the guys that are down there today, earlier, and said, how are the conditions down there? He said, well, there's some puddles.
Yeah.
But with this deluge, and the fact the whole field was underwater a week or two ago, as soon as the water is gone, you can drive all over the place. It drains right off.
Yeah, that's amazing because you brought the fact that in Stowe, there were issues with drainage. I can attest to that. I know I went to the Stowe Car Show with my 66 Mustang one year, and it had rained on a Wednesday.
Yep.
Now, the car show's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be okay.
Yep.
Well, Sunday, it was still mud and wet everywhere.
Yep.
So that was definitely an issue. It broke my heart when I saw this Model T getting pulled out of the mud with a tractor.
Yep. And he was just one of many.
Yeah, but a great show.
Yep.
We're talking with Wendall Noble. He's the secretary for the Vermont Automobile Enthusiasts in Vermont, and he's had many positions. I'm Lee Bodette, your host of this podcast, and Scott Nickerson is with us as well. Scott, do you have some questions for Wendall?
So you yourself, I know you are probably into automobiles if you're part of this club and organizing this show. What are some vehicles that you yourself have owned or some dream cars that you want to own?
I've been waiting for that question.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I delight in owning cars that are older than I am, and my age this kind of limits them.
Well, every year they have to go up, right?
That's right. Well, they get further away.
Right.
Yeah, I have the newest I have in my collection is a 1930.
That's the
Chrysler
newest.
Roadster.
Wow.
I also have two 1929 Plymouths, a Roadster and a touring car, and I have two 1928 Dodge Brothers. That's before they were owned by Chrysler. They were still Dodge Brothers, and that's a coupe and a sedan. And that's how I kind of what got me started is this 28 Dodge Brothers coupe belonged to my father-in-law, and he got it was some little lady that only drove it to church.
Oh yeah, one of those deals. Yeah,
it was a cream puff, and I used to admire it. And he said, "Well, when I'm gone, you should have this car." So he finally passed away, and we went over to New Hampshire and dragged it home. And he hadn't had it on the road for quite a number of years, but he kept it registered. And I used to open up the trunk, and here's all every time the registration come out, he'd throw it in the trunk. Here's all the paperwork. License plates. I started digging through the paperwork and found it had been registered in my wife's name since 1962, I think.
Whoa.
She'd never driven it in her life. She
Oh my
was terrified
goodness.
to drive it. But anyway, once you got one, then you start going to a car show and you see another one and another one. And after a while, you start building more garages.
So what's next?
I'm going to stop. The last thing I bought is a 1948 Indian Roadster or Roadmaster motorcycle.
Oh, cool.
It's all original. It's beautiful. I had it down in Stowe one year, and my gosh, the only other guy in Vermont I know that has one even close to it is Phil Scott, the governor.
Sure.
And he had to come to the show and see that. He wanted to know, can I sit on it? And I said, Governor, you can ride around the field if you want. Just show me how.
Yes.
So are there motorcycles at the upcoming show as well as?
Yep, there will be. Yep.
So I know there's a lot of awards. Are the motorcycles included in those currently?
They would be if the motorcycle contingent wanted it, because you have to have judges who are knowledgeable. And so generally for judging, we call upon the participants who themselves to become judges. And I don't think we had, I know one year we did give out a couple of motorcycle awards. I haven't seen any recently.
Let's talk about the upcoming show. It's Friday, August 11th through Sunday, August 13th at its new site in the last few years, right? In Waterbury, right off of Route 2. Can't miss it. It's the Vermont Antique and Classic 66th annual event. What takes place on Friday?
Friday is, frankly, even before Friday, I think tomorrow, if you pay attention, you'll see flea market guys starting to come in and take up their spaces. Thursday, It's pretty much a flea market day where the flea market guys are swapping with each other.
Oh yeah.
Then
Okay.
Friday, then the people like us come in and start going to the flea market. Usually you don't have all the cars there because, of course, a lot of people, Friday's a working day.
Yeah.
So there will not be a lot of, won't be jam-packed with all the cars here yet.
And you talk about people that have classic cars or antiques, and they're looking for parts for their vehicle. A lot of people go through the flea market just because it's great memories.
Oh, yeah.
You see things that maybe your dad had in his garage,
Absolutely,
maybe a Citgo sign.
That's right. It isn't just cars. It's memorabilia.
Yeah.
There's guys who don't own any cars, but they collect gas station memorabilia, gas pumps, signs.
Stuff for the kids as well.
Yeah,
Matchbox,
yeah,
Hot Wheels.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife, when she would prowl the flea market looking for Matchbox cars.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, we had one of our team members last year walk away with a giant box of Matchbox.
Yeah.
You know, Matchbox aren't just for the kids anymore. They're
No,
big
gosh,
collector's
no. I
item.
mean, they're very well done. They're very correct models of the real thing.
But it is very cool to see like an old gas can that, like I said, maybe your dad had in the garage or you name it.
Can of oil zone. My
Yeah,
God.
exactly. Yeah, people that collect oil cans, right?
Yeah.
So that's Friday. Then we go into Saturday. That's the real big day.
Yeah, Saturday is when the crowd really gets there. All the cars that are going to be there are there. 3:30 in the afternoon, there will be a parade. Goes downtown. There will be a reviewing stand down in, I don't know if you're familiar with where the railroad station used to be in downtown Waterbury, but generally they route the cars in around by there and they announce them as they go by who they are. And of course, every car in a parade has a number, so the guy doing the calling could reference the number and know who the owner is.
And the spectators are lined up all along the streets, right?
Yep,
with their lawn chairs and blankets.
It's going to take a while. You know, it's interesting. When we used to have the parade in Stowe, you'd see the same people every year out front of their houses. You know,
right.
This was what they were waiting for is these cars to go by their house. It's going to take a while for the people in Waterbury to get used to the idea that this is something I got to wait for.
When I had my '66 Mustang at the show, and I've won a couple of awards, it was great, but I felt like a celebrity driving by and people were like clapping.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a '66 Mustang.
Some kind of a movie star.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
When you got a 1928 or 29, they want to hear the horn.
Yes. Yes. You still doing the dance?
Yes, the block dance will be
dance.
Saturday night. I don't have the time. You probably it's probably on the poster somewhere. WDEV basically organizes that. I think, as usual, this jockey will be Joel Nashman, who I'm sure most people know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like 7 to 10 on Stowe Street in Waterbury Village.
And we'll try to have a few cars down there just for people to look at.
And Waterbury is a town that was devastated by Irene.
Yeah.
And took virtually, I guess, 11, 12 years to get back to where they are now. And they are back stronger than ever. Now, recently, we had this awful flooding in Vermont. They were affected again.
But not anywhere nearly as bad.
Yes, exactly. Some people were in other towns in Vermont and New England, of course. But thankfully, Waterbury, after all that rebuilding, is just as strong as ever.
Yep.
Very great venue to go out to eat.
Yes.
Walk around.
Yes.
It's a nice town.
Frankly, I think that's a good point. When I talked about all the nice things they had in Stowe, rooming rooms and meals.
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't think you can beat Waterbury for places to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Frankly, I would prefer that to trying to find a place in Stowe.
Yeah, and Stowe has the name.
Yep.
I mean, most people anywhere, almost around the country, know Stowe, Vermont.
Yep.
That's where you ski. That's where you stay overnight for a few nights or vacation.
Yeah, and I know that Lee was kind of talking earlier how there's people from all over the country, but there's all people from Canada and Quebec. There's a big classic car and car collector audience from there.
Canadians were very, very active in getting the club started, particularly the show. So we have a lot of cross-border membership. They have their own show up there in Granby, but the guy who was the chairman of the show up there is a member of our club. He's down here now for the show.
Yeah. Sunday is the awards.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people head home because they've got
Yep.
a long journey ahead of them, but you have the awards early in the morning on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we look for ways, events that'll keep people interested through Sunday because, with the awards, kind of look, people think, oh, I guess everything's peter out, might as well leave. But, this may be your opportunity to go get a bargain in the flea market.
True, right?
Yeah.
That's the best time.
Yep.
Well, and with the show, it isn't, just for you guys to make profit either, right? As a club, this is to benefit something.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it is. For when I first joined the club, the show was a moneymaker, and the club was donating to various charities, but they were trying to find their way to what is our correct IRS classification anyway. And there was all kinds of machinations where, one category, you were supported by your members. So everybody who came to the show was a VA member for one day or something like that. And finally, we decided, hey, look, let's face it. We are a nonprofit charitable organization. We petitioned the IRS for 501c3 status. I don't think we did the best job presenting ourselves initially because we tried to say, well, look at this show as an educational event. And the IRS said, that's not educational. You're just having a good time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So anyway, we went home and licked our wounds and got a tax attorney to draw up a set of bylaws that would be acceptable to the IRS, that we could say, okay, this is what we are. And so we became... We titled this new organization, which existed alongside the VAE, but was a 501c3 nonprofit, the Vermont Antique Automobile Society. And that existed for a few years and undertook, I think, some very, very good educational endeavors, so that I don't think anybody could argue that we are not exactly what we say we are. We give out 3 different categories of awards, primarily aimed at high school students who are in automotive technical career centers.
Help them along.
And I'll list them and then I'll go back and talk about what we do. One is our Golden Wrench Award, which is given out to a junior in each of the 16 auto tech career centers in the state. The other is called Skills USA, where there's actually a statewide competition, which then becomes a nationwide competition for various skills, including automotive. And then more recently, a $6,000 scholarships to a senior in not every technical career center, but we're looking for them to write applications explaining to us what their career goals are and how this will help them reach those career goals. So that's something fairly new. The Golden Wrench Award is the biggest program we have. It's been around the longest. It's gained a lot of respect in the schools. They very much look to have us come in and give out these awards, and because we're not only giving a kid who might otherwise get nothing, we're giving him some tangible stuff. We're giving him a set of tools. We're giving him a book. We're giving him access to a $500 scholarship. But we're giving him recognition. This is a kid who's going to stand up in front of the entire school maybe and receive an award that otherwise he would have just graduated and gone away.
And that's really getting to be a lost art, the mechanic.
Oh yeah, that's right. And you fellows are probably in the best position to see the result because, frankly, these kids in these technical career centers, businesses like your own, come in and want to hire these kids. Can't wait for them to graduate. Do I have to wait for them to graduate? I want them now. And so here you have some kids who know how to get their hands. They've torn a car apart before. They know what they're doing. They know their ropes. And we're looking particularly to reward the ones who want to learn.
Yeah.
Whatever I know now, I'm curious about learning more.
Yeah,
and
continue on.
that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, lots of growth for sure.
Yeah.
Wendell, we talked a little bit about the awards and the judging. I wanted to get into the judging a little bit. I go to many car shows, and not to say that they aren't serious, they're a lot of fun. But when it comes to judging at this Vermont Antique and Classic Car Meet, let's just say it's strict. Very strict in order to get an award here.
Yes.
We're talking that the bolts have to be pretty much exactly the way they came off the assembly line, just to mention.
Good point.
One scenario. So, any comments on that?
Yeah, sure. To the untrained eye, and the judges have to have trained eyes, what looks nice isn't necessarily what's correct.
Right.
And you're judged on correctness. And I know I have done some judging, and I'm judging usually cars of the vintage I'm interested in. If I spot a Phillips screw, that's wrong. They didn't invent those until the war.
Right, or a battery.
Yeah,
That's a
the
replacement
battery. It's got to
battery.
be the right. It's got to be the right configuration. It's got to. Obviously, it can't be a vintage battery or it wouldn't work.
Oil filter.
But it's got to have.
Yeah.
It could have nothing on there that wasn't on when
Right.
it was. Could have come off the showroom.
But you're right. You see cars there that look pristine.
Oh, yes.
But they're missing those particular items.
Yep.
Even just one. And there you go with your little demerit, right?
Yep. That's right. And boy, oh boy, do you get some kickback because they're happy to hear that.
I was going to say, when you're judging the car owner can be right there.
Oh yeah, you want him to
And
be there.
does he or she kind of try to influence you?
Well, we ask him questions.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to begrudge them the chance to explain things, and then sure, if they can embellish the picture verbally, fine. But some of them, once in a while, I get one that actually will thank you for pointing out something that was wrong.
Well, yeah.
Good, I'll go back and fix it.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, they want their car to be as original as possible. I'm not a big fan of people modifying their vehicles.
No.
I like the way they came out of the factory. That's what I want to see.
You know, the word you just used, original. Boy, there are arguments over what that means. And it isn't just our show. It's within the hobby. And there's a saying that I think pretty much epitomizes it. It says, you can restore a car any number of times, but it's only original once. Yeah. If it, by our definition, original means you've done nothing to it. It's just the way the last guy drove it. It's got wear and tear. It's got worn out seat covers. It's got the paint is probably would look a lot better with a new paint job.
Right.
If you do that, it's not original anymore.
Yeah.
And it's rare you find something you will really call original, but when you do, you glorify it.
Yeah. How does that compare to a car that's been restored? You just touched on it a little bit, but sometimes I'll see vehicles at car shows and car meets that have rust. Or like you said, maybe a torn seat.
Yep.
How do the judges look at that?
If they're obviously it's gonna count against you. If you had a car that it hadn't been touched since it came off the showroom,
Right.
doesn't have rust, that's bitter.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that's unusual. It's rare. Sure,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
going to be a demerit.
Yeah.
But it's also reality. You know, it may be that there's nobody who doesn't have rust.
Right. So let's recap. We've got the big 66th annual Vermont Antique Car and Classic. It's actually Antique and Classic Car Meet coming up in Waterbury Village, the 11th, 12th, and 13th of August. It's coming up this weekend. Children 12 and under are absolutely free, and spectator admission is $15. Wendell, anything else you'd like to add about the big show?
About the show. I was going to say, gee, Lee, this is called what? Driving with... Are we going to go driving, Lee?
We're going to go driving. Yeah, test drive, baby.
Oh, okay, all right. 'Cause that's what I was expecting when I come in here.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it's raining again here. We've had the worst summer of all time. But...
Your cars have windshield wipers. Mine don't.
Yeah, that's right. Good point. So anything you want to add to it, Wendell? It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, there is one thing I want, a feature that we have started adding to the show that didn't used to be when we were in Stowe. It's got nothing to do with the fact that we're not in Stowe, but it's got a lot to do with the fact that we are now touting ourselves and living up to being educational. We have what we call a tech tent, where which I'm really enthused about and trying to provide a lot of stuff for. But the whole idea is nowadays, the average person has never looked under the hood of a car, has no idea what's going on under that. When I was a kid, that's all we wanted to do, but things are different.
Yes,
well, here you can come in and you can see an engine with the head off, and you can see the pistons going up and down, the valves moving up and down. We've got a manual transmission. You can reach your fingers in here and move the gears around and see what makes a shift from one gear to another, and all kinds of things like that. We're going to have a flathead V8 that you can push a button and it starts and it roars.
Right.
You probably never heard of a sleeve valve engine.
I have not.
The Knight, was it Willys Knight, and there was a bunch of very expensive cars that had a Knight engine, which it doesn't have poppet valves like we're used to. It has sleeves that move up and down, cylindrical with the cylinder, coaxial with the cylinder. And we got a cutaway of one of those. You can turn the crank and see the sleeves going up and down.
Yeah.
So it's very educational. We're going to have some steam engines. Got a couple of automobile steam engines there. We can power them up with compressed air. We hope we'll have an operating steam boat, and maybe the guy will even fire it up. I don't know. We were hoping that this year we would have some steam cars, but that hasn't worked out because the guy that would have got it going for us has got some health problems he's dealing with. But I hope we can in the future. And the more we can give people things that they can touch and look at and get their hands on, I think the better we're doing at educating people about the automotive industry.
It's a fascinating show. It's a lot of fun, and families just enjoy going to it because there's so much to see and do.
For everybody, the kids, when I first got interested in this, and I was going to go to the car show. My wife was into craft fairs, and I told her, look, I won't drag you to a car show if you don't drag me to a craft fair. Well, before long, we had a craft tent at the car show, and my wife got as involved in the car show as I was. She was running the souvenir tent and everything else. She was more enthused than I. It's there for everybody, and kids of all ages.
Right, rain or shine.
Yep.
All right, Scott Nixon, you have any questions you'd like to ask Wendall before he leaves here?
No, I'm excited to be at the show this weekend. We're going to interview some interesting people, and we're going to talk to some more VAE members for sure.
Yeah, Sport Car USA.
Looking forward to seeing you folks there.
Yeah.
And delighted to have you last year, and I hope this goes on this way forever.
We're looking forward to it. Going to meet lots and lots of people from all over the place. Wendall Noble, the current secretary for the Vermont Automobile Enthusiasts Club. We want to thank you very much for being with us. It's been a lot of fun, and I know you won't mind people coming up to you this weekend and just kind of chewing your ear a little bit.
Oh, I love that.
The Vermont Antique and Classic Car Meet, once again, August 11th through the 13th, and it's located at Farfield, 1901 U.S. Route 2, Waterbury, Vermont, west of Waterbury Village. Thanks for listening to our Test Drive podcast number 23. I'm Lee Bodette, your host. Check out our Test Drive series on YouTube, and we'll see you next time on our Test Drive podcast. And remember, let's never forget the men and women serving this great country of ours. Goodbye, buddy.